So we have an interesting guest on the show today, Selena.
We sure do. A very special guest.
We're delighted and very happy to have this guest on the show today. And this episode, I'm gonna actually let her introduce herself.
Y'all are flattering me right now, truly.
Well, yes, you're not only our executive producer, but today you're a very special guest.
You can't see it, but I'm blushing.
The joys of podcasting and not videoing.
Thank goodness. It's interesting, yeah. So today I am in the interviewee chair instead of the executive producer chair. And if you haven't listened to us before, hi, I'm Santana Blanchette. I am the executive producer of Build Up, which basically is a fancy way of saying I'm the professional cat wrangler of these two lovely hosts here. And in my day-to-day work at our ad agency ZGM, I am an inbound and content strategist, as well as a part-time content writer. So a little bit of everything. I lovingly call myself the digital junk drawer of the agency.
And you are author, editor, all of the above for the marketing director email.
The judge, jury, and executor of all of that, yes.
Very cool. You're listening to Build Up, the Homebuilder podcast, brought to you by ZGM. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Selena.
We're marketers
and brand strategists.
And we love applying our expertise to the home building industry. Join us as we uncover industry insights, chat with colleagues, and explore exciting ways to push the home building world forward. And so what exactly are we going to talk to you about today, Santana?
I am really excited because today we are talking about content marketing in the home builder space. I am particularly hyped up about this because I think this is something that almost every home builder dips their toes into, but does not realize the full potential of. So I'm pretty hyped up to get into today's conversation.
I think we've seen a little bit of that. We've helped some clients get on board the content train to a certain degree. And I think it leaves a lot to be desired. But maybe before we go any further, why don't we let you inform the audience what exactly you mean by content marketing?
So content marketing is, or inbound marketing, well, no, there's a bit of a difference, but content marketing is a facet of inbound marketing wherein you create educational, inspirational, or entertaining content that is relevant to your audience throughout every stage of their buyer journey in order to do a number of things, to build your reputation in their mind, to show them that you are the expert in your field, to lead them to conclusions that you'd like them to be led to, and to just generally be helpful. Sometimes the missing piece between what you want them to do and what they're currently doing is a little bit of information. To be more specific with it, though, content refers to any type of content. So people traditionally get in this trap of thinking that it just means blogs or emails, but it could be a video series. It could be social media. It could be...
Could it be a podcast?
You stole my answer. It could be a podcast. It could be anything. And so I think that's one of the big things I want to talk about today is the trap that a lot of people fall into when they start doing content marketing of being like, well, we have a blog and we have an email, and that's the thing.
Yeah, and I really appreciate you kind of explaining it of how it's not just your blog. You know, you put out a blog a month and think, oh, this is our content marketing plan. It's so much more and it's so much deeper, and it should connect back to your brand. But, you know, when you think about a home builder and maybe their marketing team isn't as robust as they would want, it feels a little daunting. So I think looking to you to maybe share some tips of taking content marketing into bite-sized little chunks would be super helpful too.
Yeah, I mean, I can share with you the fact that you're correct. Like, the work is truly never done. There's always something that could be done. But the exciting part about content marketing that I think more people need to talk about is that any amount of consistent effort is absolutely worth the while. Like, as much as we talk about right now, well, it's not just blogs and it's not just emails. No, it's not. But if you are creating consistent blogs and emails, like pat yourself on the back because that's still worth the effort. But anything else you can add in that is highly relevant to your demographic, I think that's the biggest thing that I like to focus on is what is the thing your audience cares about? Because Gen Z, for example, they're not reading as many blogs, baby. They want videos, they want TikToks, they want bite-sized video, audio content. And so if you're making blogs that are geared to your first-time home buyer and your first-time home buyer happens to be a Gen Z, are you shouting into the void? Because you might be.
We have a perfect example of kind of the power of this and the fact that, it can be as little as just one really good blog post. And a client that we have had a blog post, and the blog post has been out for, I think, years. But it was such targeted, highly relevant content. It was written about their product and how their product offers a spice kitchen. And it was like the number one like organic driving traffic piece to the site. Like it was just wild every time we would do
For
the
2
metrics.
years.
Yeah, for like 2 years. We would do the metrics report and we'd be like, Spice Kitchen, number one again. Like, what's this? This is wild. But it goes to the point that you're making, which is like highly relevant, well-targeted content can be super effective at driving traffic and good traffic.
Many home builders will build that first time buyer's guide, which is great. I see a lot of value in it, but everyone's doing it. And if your buyer is a lot younger and you know that, why wouldn't you try the first time home builders video series or Instagram reel series on first time home buyer guide? Like, just think about what your demographic would want from you and how the content you want to give them or that they want from you could be built for them.
Yeah, Santana, exactly. And understanding that customer and who your audience is and kind of zoning in on what they're doing and how best to reach them, it really works. And again, we have another example from one of our clients that we worked with who did a first-time home buyer guide. And they had somebody participate in one of the sessions, and they had, pre-COVID, a live in-person session for their guide. And that person had pre-registered for the event, attended the event, and then it was, I believe, 2 years later, they made their purchase. So it could also provide some insights of really how long is the home buyer journey? How early are they engaging with you? They're talking to you pretty early if they're making a big decision. So there's all these really insightful pieces of information that you could pull from developing that and investing in a content strategy.
It always surprises me how this is a long consumer journey. Like we're not talking about buying a chocolate bar at the grocery till. This is something that somebody thinks about for months and months and years. And the process of actually like from starting to buying a house on average is not quick. And it just surprises me so much how home builders, the way that they market, assumes that it's quick and just is kind of like, here's a house for this price and you're ready, so let's do it. That's not, what? That's not the information I need right now. I'm just starting my journey. I don't care that that house is that price. Mm-hmm. Give me something else. And we talk about it all the time, the consumer journey. Awareness, awareness, consideration, activation, all the different steps in the consumer journey. And that's what we're talking about here, Santana, is how to nurture through the different steps of the consumer journey, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think of content marketing, to your point, Jordan, very much like planting a tree in some ways. It's very slow. Let's think of an apple tree specifically. It's very slow, takes a while to grow roots and to build up, but then it starts to bear fruit. And when it does, eventually you'll eat some of those delicious apples or some of them will fall off and actually act as fertilizer to nourish the rest of the tree. And content marketing is the same way. It takes a long time to develop. It should speak to your buyers at all points in their journey, whether they're just even considering what owning a home could look like, and then answering their questions. And then when they do start to become more serious in their intention, maybe it is putting them in the driver's seat, making them see themselves in your home. And then I would say even after they buy, you still have an obligation to those people because, like the apple that drops down and nourishes the rest of the tree, your buyers will always refer, right? Like your consumers run in packs. I can't tell you the exact statistic because this was a long time ago, but I was at a conference years ago, and the speaker said that 85% of new business is from a referral, which means that your customers are actually your largest sales team. And if that is true, you have an obligation as a business, as a brand, to continue to um, nurture your buyers after they have purchased.
I agree.
I concur.
I got so excited when you were talking about that, because one thing that I think is missing, like incredibly missing in home buyer marketing, is that after purchase and maintaining that relationship and that communication channel with your people that are living in your product for a long time. So I feel like once that sale is done and the keys are, handed over, and maybe there's like that 1 year walkthrough, you're not getting any messaging anymore from your home builder. Maybe if it was a great salesperson, they'll check in. And I've heard of this happening, like birthday gifts and anniversaries and that kind of thing. But typically, like I know from my family who purchased new homes in the last 10 years, they never heard from their home builder after that. And what a miss. What a miss on all the referrals you could have got. Or, if you were getting a piece of content that is beyond a blog or whatever we're talking about digital, maybe it's something more. If you have guests over and you have something from your home builder that really means something, and you're always talking about whatever is going on in your community and engaging with your guest in your home about that and about how fantastic your relationship is with your home builder, like what a missed opportunity. And easy too. You have these people's addresses.
Truly. It's always amazing to me that people will ignore their customers afterwards, because those could be new salespeople. Those could be free salespeople. All you have to do is develop content that speaks to them. And even for your prospects, imagine that you are considering buying a home and you're going to this one particular home builder's page, and they always have really great new content on what it would take to build your home, or a first-time home buyer's guide, or design tips, or whatever that like nurturing content is. But then you also see they've got all these great tips on maintaining your home, or things to check at the 1, 5, 10-year mark. And you think to yourself, like, man, this brand obviously really stands behind their product. They obviously have my back if I do purchase with them. It's the same way. It's the same way that when I was single, I would always ask all of my dates about their exes. And I would always do this because if all they said was all of my ex-girlfriends are crazy, they're the common denominator. But if I see that they had like mostly nice things to say, then I'm like, okay, they're probably a nice enough person. If my builder, I go online and they've got bad reviews, or I see that they don't really have good customer service programs, or there's no content that speaks to the after buy, do I trust that you're going to treat me well after I've given you what you wanted from me?
I think that's huge, Santana. And I think that especially with the change in the buyers that are coming into the market and who's going to be the majority of who's buying homes, millennials and Gen Z, I know we keep talking about it, but it's the truth. They're expecting that aftercare and that promise and that conversation and, maintaining a brand relationship. And if you're just like, okay, see you later, enjoy your house and walk away, it's not going to work. I don't think it's going to work for much longer, to be honest. I think there's going to be a lot more demand from customers to their home builders for more service after.
Yeah, 100%, Selena. And realistically, like when you look at the new customers in the market, again, we're going to harp on Gen Z and millennial and everything else. And the way that products are changing, this is a bit of a tangent. This should probably be another episode, another time. But the way that this new group of buyers is not interested in the maintenance. They're not interested in all of the things that go along. It's why you have so many more people who are leasing vehicles, who are doing subscription programs to vehicles. Check out Volvo. Who are doing renting homes, because they don't want to do all the other stuff that has to come along with that. That said, from a content point of view, that's an opportunity. If nothing else, you get your content right, hit those messages. owning a home isn't, you buy a home and then it's like, great, I don't need to worry about anything ever again because I bought a brand new home. That's not true. You have furnace filters to replace. You have windows to clean. You have seasonal maintenance. You have yard work. All of these things that you could use as an opportunity post-purchase to create a deeper, more meaningful relationship with your customer, to encourage them to buy from you in the future and encourage them to recommend you when someone is like, yeah, we're thinking of building a new house. I have a builder for you.
And it also gives them a little bit of confidence, like, oh, my home builder, they're sharing this information with me. Oh, I didn't know that I should be cleaning out my gutters or something. I wouldn't know. And then, they could also become the expert to their friends. Like, have you cleaned up? My home builder told me that I need to be doing so and so. And then really, it's just a very, very long line of positive things that could happen by just having a great content plan and a smart one too. Again, Santana, like I love how you're talking about maybe it's not a blog post, maybe it's an Instagram series. Like there's so many different opportunities, and it's just really tuning into who you need to be talking to.
Absolutely. One of the things that I do a lot in my profession is look at every single industry and what they're doing for inbound and content, because I think that's where you can start to pull a lot of good inspiration from, so you don't get caught in that echo chamber of like, what are my competitors doing? And to go back to that idea of articles that just service or speak to your already purchased demographic, I think people should also consider, or home builders should also consider, tech companies like Shopify. Shopify has all of these people that they employ just to answer customer questions, right? All these like online chat agents and things like that. And all those people they're not like Shopify wizards. They can't do some crazy engineering on the back end to make the product work. They're literally just pulling from an FAQ article database. They just find their keyword and they look into it. So even if you feel like your baby boomer clientele is not going to use or find value in those resources, do you know how much easier it would be for your customer service team or your sales team to have that database to pull from when that customer does call? Because I'm thinking of my mom. My mom will harass the heck out of her people that she works with for services and goods over the phone, because that's how she works. She doesn't want to Google it. She wants to call them. And so when she calls, Debbie, her home builder contact, if Debbie can just easily go and look through the database of articles, her life's going to be easier, and then she'll provide a better customer service. So you can really help every generation by having a robust content strategy.
That's a really interesting point, and one, frankly, that I hadn't thought of before. But that gives you so much more. That content isn't just like, yeah, I wrote a blog post and it's out there and done. But like that can become a vault of information for not only your customers, but your internal training, onboarding, customer service, questions, answers. Like that's really smart, Santana.
Thank you. Some of my favorite work is working with sales teams and customer service teams on how to better align with marketing, because in my mind, there's actually no division between customer service, sales, and marketing. It's all growth. And so I've actually worked with home builder sales teams in the past to best enable them with the CRM tool and with the marketing plan, because as a marketer, I can use the questions that the sales team gets most often to create content from. And on their end, I always have an internal promotion strategy for content. When content gets published, I always share it internally so that those sales people can use the content that we're producing as a tool in their sales. People love it in sales when you send them an article and say, hey, this just came out and it made me think of you. People love that. So we can help the sales team as marketers too.
I love the customer service, sales, and marketing. We're all the same team. We all need to be connected and communicating and collaborating together, because we're all doing the same job.
Yeah, they're not individual jobs. It's not individual roles. We're all pulling for the same purpose, pulling for the same outcomes. So all the more reason that we should all be sharing the information and working together.
Santana, you mentioned something kind of in the beginning where you said that, I loved your comparing content marketing to an apple tree. And in the beginning, there's an investment. Maybe you're not seeing a lot of results at the start, but then really, if you do a great job of nurturing that tree, so nurturing your content, the results could be so fantastic. I think there's a little bit of a mindset in the industry for, like really reactive and quick results. Still a little bit of that almost like quick sales thinking. And I feel like if people just really understood what the benefits of content marketing are and realize that don't expect to get like 100 sales from a blog post right away. There's going to be a period of like maybe nothing for a little bit. But if that expectation is there, I feel like people would just do much better, home builders specifically, would do much better in, staying consistent, because there's a lot of feeling of failure almost because they're not seeing results right away. So I don't know, maybe is there like a certain time period or something like a window that you would say, like, do it for a year and then make a decision on if you want to continue going forward with your strategy?
My old boss had the best expression that I've stolen from him, so shout out to Dan. He always used to call it the valley of disappointment with content marketing. If you just do a content program and you've got no paid boosting in place, and even with paid boosting in place, there is the valley of disappointment. It takes like 6 months to a year. But then as it starts to work, it really works. And I think the other way to combat the valley of disappointment is to use the things that you are doing to empower your internal team, right? Like if a salesperson is even a little bit more impactful or effective because they can start to use that helpful, friendly content to send to their prospects, or your customer service team can use that to inform their conversations, cutting down on the hours that they would spend searching for the information, then I would say that right there is a win. But to answer your question directly, Selena, depending on how intense you're willing to go, 6 months to a year. The truth of the matter is that you have to be very strategic with it. You have to really research your keywords if you're looking to boost your organic. And then you have to have I don't want to say an aggressive cadence, but if you start posting 2 blog posts a month and that's all you're doing, it's going to take you longer. If you get into a really strategic, 1 a week, 2 a week, keyword informed, you've got a promotion strategy, you've got a backlink strategy, insert jargon term, then it'll go faster. But to be totally realistic, it's going to be about 6 months to a year. But like I said, if your sales team and customer service team are using it, that's a win in my books.
Yeah, I think content is all about converting the lead, right?
And delighting. Yeah.
Delighting. What a nice word.
Delighting is the best part of marketing.
One of the first things that I do, because like I said, I really like working with sales teams too, and I believe it's growth is a holistic picture. I actually will evaluate the entire funnel and see which part needs to be plugged first, like what part of that funnel is broken. So let's say that I find that the conversion rate of a sales team is terrible. I start pumping them with high quality leads because I focus on the top of the funnel. Well, am I actually wasting those leads? Or let's say that a home builder has an amazing sales team and they have a really great ad plan. And so, can you tell I'm not a media person? So they've got a really strong top of the funnel. They've got a really good bottom of the funnel, but they can't nurture the leads. The middle of the funnel is broken. They've got nothing in place to get them from, I know this brand and I like them, to I'm going to buy from them. Then I'm going to focus on lead nurturing. So I think getting really analytical, I hate doing things for the sake of doing them. So I really try hard to stay away from too much templating. So my first course of action when engaging with the brand is usually to say, let's take a look at your whole funnel, see where needs work so that we can make sure that you are set up that when we start dialing things up on the top of the funnel, you're ready to convert those leads.
Content is very important to nurturing and closing that lead at all stages of the funnel, for sure. And I think that point is really valid. And I like the delight point as well.
If you're delighting your audience, you're at least providing them with that like happy feeling to make them want to come back. Right?
Yeah, absolutely. And all positive feelings are important to building a strong brand. Like we want to leave our audience with positive feelings, right?
Yeah. I keep going back to that. Did you call it Valley of Despair?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Yes.
Sorry, the valley of disappointment.
Oh, disappointment. Wow, I made it way worse.
Yeah, you did.
I don't know. That's pretty great too.
So that valley of not feeling good, of not seeing some results instantly. I feel like, sometimes for a home builder, the marketing team, an internal marketing team, gets a little bit of pushback from their executives, some of the big decision makers on not being able to show great results right away. And I always think back to Disney. I love Disney so much, and I believe in a lot of things that they do. they had a quote talking about how their leadership doesn't always look at traditional ROIs, and just getting that from the beginning and understanding that, like a content plan, you can't be like, how many leads are we getting from this blog post? Maybe eventually you can, but for sure not at the start. And, having a internal marketing team upfront telling executives, this is a long-term game. This is not short-term, but the long-term game is going to be so lovely.
I am gonna spill the tea a little bit here and just say that I've never encountered a home builder that there wasn't just a little bit of tension between the leadership team and marketing and sales. There's always a little bit of tension because it's a high pressure industry, right? You have to sell volumes. You're trying to sell out a whole community. Like, it's just the nature of the beast. Sales says marketing isn't giving them qualified leads. Marketing says sales isn't attributing the sales back to marketing. The executives just want to know how many houses they're selling. So, to give away one of my magician's tricks, I always have a couple of quick win items that I'll look for early in a content and inbound marketing program just to keep everyone on my side until we start to see those results, because everyone says that they're cool with the valley of disappointment until it's the 5 month mark and everyone's like, hey man, so we got to sell these houses and I have, this deadline and this thing and this thing. So I have a couple tricks up my sleeve that I like to bust out for those quick wins because, on paper, absolutely brands need to invest in those long-term plays. It is imperative to their long-term success. But let's be realistic. That's not the nature of the home building business in a lot of ways.
You got it.
It's important to note too, Santana, what you said there, that content can't be your only play. Like, you can't just go out and think, we're just going to do a content thing, some blogs, and we'll sell out this community. Like, I don't know, maybe if it's a really desirable, amazing product, it might work. But essentially, this is another tool in the tool belt when we're looking at long-term strategy, when we're looking at marketing strategy, marketing planning, and everything else. This is something we layer on top of everything else that we're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you still need media, right? Like, media is so important. And I'm not even going to get into that conversation because I'm just not educated in it. Like, I know when to call media, but I don't know a lot about it. But I know that it's very important. I know that you need a killer brand. You need to know your brand purpose, your brand values. You need to have an amazing brand aesthetic. Like, because let's be honest, there are so many home builders out there in hot markets. We know that. I'm in Calgary and you're in Edmonton, but we've both lived through boom times and there's a million of you. So you better have all of those dials pretty turned on and dialed in. And content's a piece of that, but I would actually say we're not even the foundation. Content should not be the foundation. It has to start with brand. And then I would say, yeah, content's very important, but content can't be the lipstick on your pig.
Yeah, is it fair to say that, you've got to have those other things performing pretty well before you try and take on a content strategy at a high degree?
I would say brand first, and then whether media comes first or whether content comes first, they actually kind of go hand in hand beautifully, right? Like, media can actually shorten the valley of disappointment because you're paying for eyeballs, right? Like, media is the jetpack to whatever it is, whatever message it is that you're trying to put out there. And content is kind of the meat of it, right? Like, it's the thing people will interact with. It's something that they can consume and come back to and feel loyalty to. But media is what gets the eyeballs there. So they're great in combination, but regardless of media or inbound, or preferably both, the brand's got to be there.
Absolutely. I like the quote, media is the jetpack. And that's true just of media in general, because whether you're just trying to get eyeballs on your content or eyeballs on your product, if you're getting it in the right place at the right time, it can be the thing that really kicks you into the next gear.
But if media is the jetpack, then that's why brand is so important. Because if you've got a really bad brand and you put a bunch of money into media, then you're just getting eyeballs on your bad product faster, which you don't want that, right?
Absolutely.
Then you'll be in the valley of despair, not disappointment.
That's right.
Yes. That is absolutely the valley of despair.
Okay, so as we wrap this up, Santana, this was so much fun. But I'd love for you to share maybe a few quick wins that a home builder could use while they're kind of evaluating their content strategy plan.
Yeah, absolutely. So content is very all-encompassing. So one of the biggest pieces of content that you have out there right now is your website. And I'm going to be honest with you, a lot of times you may have paid a lot of money for it. It might not be performing very well for you. So one of the first quick wins I'll do is I'll run it through like an SEM checker or an SEO checker. There's like some pretty easy, great tools out there. The one that I typically go to is SEM Rush. And you kind of just input the website and see, is there some stuff missing on the back end that could be tweaked to improve your SEO? Little things like that. They don't make a big difference, but they do kind of start to help out a little bit right away. And then the other thing, which is not a quick win, but is a way to find quick wins, is I always try to map out the buyer journey and then you find the biggest areas of friction. So I'll start from the very top. Where are the places where we speak to our demographic? And then from there, what are the pieces of material that we'll use to speak to them? So a bit of a content audit, like what is out in the world right now under your brand, and then seeing what's popular, what's not performing, what could be doing better. Just really doing a thorough audit of your process right now and mapping it out and keeping that document somewhere, and then starting to identify friction points and where you can make them better. So, do you find that your general email inbox is always blowing up with random requests or questions from people who have already bought or from potential buyers? Okay, great. There are so many chatbot tools available that are very affordable, and you can create very easily a workflow logic within them to answer your commonly asked questions. Hey, this is a bot. You can, type this in to speak to a real live person, or you can, type in the concern you're having or the question you have, right? So, whatever the friction points are in your buyer journey, that's where you can start to look and say, all right, let's put out the fires first, and then we can get to growing that tree.
Growing that tree, the content tree.
The content tree.
I love the content tree.
Well, thank you so much, Santana. This has been a really good conversation. If you've been listening to the podcast for a while, you'll know that we always end every episode with our key takeaways. And Santana's usually the one that kicks this off. But seeing as she's our guest today, I'm going to be the one that kicks us off. And I'm going to talk about my number one key takeaway from today. So my key takeaway from today's episode is that everybody needs to be on the same page and play together on the same team. When we're talking about content, there's a role that content can play to support every function of the organization, be it marketing, sales, post-sale, warranty, all of these different pieces. Your content goes to nurturing leads. Your content goes to supporting the sales team with the right information and providing that at the right time. Your content goes to really taking, hopefully, some of the questions and simple things off of the post-sales team because we've got content to answer that. And all of it, I think, just really supports every aspect of the organization. So a content play isn't as basic, I would say, as maybe many people look at it or that it would appear on the surface. So that's my key takeaway from today's episode. I'm going to throw it over to you now, Selena.
I have a few, but I'm only going to talk about one.
You only get one.
Yeah, I know. Even though on the first episode you did more than one, but that's okay. I'll let it go.
Wow.
I'm sure Santana will cover the other one. But for me, it's understanding and having, the key decision makers understand that or expect that you're not going to see quick results from this when you're implementing a new content strategy. And just going in with that expectation of, give it some time, commit to it, be consistent and really believe in what you're doing. And then, set some goals, some long-term goals of when you could look back and see how you're doing. It's not a 1 month thing. It's not a 2 month thing. Santana said at least 6 months to 1 year, but going in and understanding that from the beginning, I think everybody will just feel better and nobody will be, quickly disappointed and there won't be any tension. So for me, I think that's really huge, especially in this industry. Santana, what about you?
I think my biggest takeaway, or the thing that I would like to convey to people, is that it is important to think of content as something that should be constantly evolving and changing and growing. And a lot of what I do is, making an educated guess and then throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. So to put it in more simple terms, don't be afraid to get outside of the blog post or the email. Try the video, try the TikTok, try the Pinterest board, try the house tutorial. Obviously, choose content that's based on what's relevant to your demographic, but play a little because content can be fun and it is much cheaper than trying to play around with the billboard or a TV ad. You can afford to play around on content because it is one of the more affordable and approachable marketing methods.
I like that a lot. Just get out there, experiment, get messy, see what's working, see what's not, go from there.
Totally. Well, thanks for having me, question mark.
Yeah, great work, everyone.
Yeah, that was fantastic, Santana. I enjoyed that.
Thank you.
I always learn when you're, talking about content. So, all right, Jordan, what are we talking about on our next episode?
Well, Selena, in our next episode, we've got a guest coming to us from actually one of Western Canada's largest fully integrated real estate companies. And they actually have Homebuilder branches that extend all across North America. And as one of the largest fully integrated real estate companies in Western Canada, they're going to come in and talk to us about how they bring personalization to life at scale, having such a large organization with many different moving pieces and such a big brand. So that should be a really fun conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Until next time.
Bye.
This has been a ZGM podcast with your hosts, Jordan Mayer and Selena Hallaby, produced by Santana Blanchette, edited by Shelby Von Groven and Scott Steele, and supported by everyone on the ZGM team.
Woo!